Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a interview or chat session for Pitch-Chella, where we have the pleasure and the honour of speaking to Sophie Sparks, who's the CEO of You Can Sit With Me. Now, by now, you would have received, if you weren't in the webinar last week for Pitch-Chella, the launch, you would have received the video and you would have received the brief. So that should all be with you now. If you haven't got all that information, please let us know and we'll get that to you immediately. I'm about to introduce Sophie. Sophie's the CEO of You Can Sit With Me. We first met her a few weeks ago now, or maybe a month ago now, when we first started setting up for this year. And we were lucky enough to have. I think there were 6 or 7 different organisations we were going to pick throughout for this process. And You Can Sit With Me really stood out for all of us. And you're about to hear why and understand why. So, without further ado, hold on to your questions because we can ask Sophie some questions at the end, or I can ask some questions. But Sophie, over to you and give us a overview of what you guys do and how you do it and why you do it.
Thank you, Sam. And I'd like to say hello and welcome. Thank you, everyone, for coming along today. And most importantly, a heartfelt thank you from myself and the whole team at You Can Sit With Me, which I'll explain to you about them later, but they are a tribe of young and old people who are all volunteers, to say thank you so much for joining in with this and for coming forward and stepping forward and being part of Pitch-Chella. We are really, really excited. So thank you so much. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about You Can Sit With Me. First of all, You Can Sit With Me is a simple yellow wristband, which I'm just showing you, with that life-saving and life-changing message. Those 5 little words, you can sit with me, really do change a child's life. And we have seen that over the past 11 years. So this Friday, we're actually celebrating our 11th You Can Sit With Me Day. And we're super excited about that as well. And it's where children in schools wear a touch of yellow and spread kindness and inclusivity. So our whole aim is, as you are aware, is about kindness and inclusion. We're very proud to be recognised by the Australian government as a Tier 1 preventative program to stamp out bullying, racism, non-inclusive behaviour. So a little bit about why You Can Sit With Me was started. So I'll tell you the story. I am actually teacher trained and I still work with young people in the mental health sector, and I work every day with young people. But it was December 2015, and I'll never forget the date. It actually was my husband's birthday. And if you knew me, I am not an impulsive person. But I always thought that I was that fight or flight person where if there was a drama, I'd be fine. I'd fix everything up and it would all be good. Well, let me tell you, I learned a big lesson that day. So it was the 15th of December, 2015. And for some reason, the night before, I had taken my computer into my bedroom. I never take my computer into my bedroom. It always lives in the study. But that night, I just happened to. And the morning of the 15th, I was awake. It was school holidays. I was full-time teaching at the time. And I thought to myself, oh, husband was having a shower. I'll just check my emails. Well, what had happened, I received an email from a student. Now, what's important to know is it's not unusual for high school students to send an email. Not at all. So I was thinking, that's a bit strange. It's the 15th of December. I wonder what they're sending me. But the subject said goodbye. And so I opened up that email, just having woken up, and I started to read the email. And I think I only got through the first 2 or 3 sentences. And that email was an email from a student of mine saying that they couldn't take any more being left out. They couldn't face their friends anymore. They'd been abandoned by a friendship group. And what had happened was this student's friend had said that they were coming to stay the night and have a play date. At the last minute, they cancelled that. But what had happened was they'd gone to a party where every other child in the group had been invited. But as we know, young people, they're not very good at covering their tracks. And my student watched the whole thing unfold. Balloons, birthday cake, dancing, a lot of fun on their device. And so what they decided to do was write me an email so that I could tell their parents why they had decided to end their life. So what happened when I got that email? Of course, I went to ring the parents to tell them, to warn them, but I couldn't think of their name. I couldn't think of the parents' name. I couldn't think where they lived. I rang an ambulance. The ambulance came to my place. Why? Because I wasn't thinking straight. I couldn't function. I didn't know what I was doing. But meanwhile, what had happened on the other side was this student had gone home was at home, had gone to bed, but had ended up going back downstairs that night and re-saying to their mother good night and that they love them. Unbeknownst to the mother, they had gone into the kitchen cupboard and taken a whole roll of black garbage bags. They took the black garbage bags up to their bedroom. You're probably thinking, what were they doing with that? But what they did was they packed up their whole bedroom into black garbage bags. And those black garbage bags sat in lumps alongside their cupboards. It just happened to be that mother's intuition, that parent intuition, that the mother woke up in the night and went to check on their daughter. When they got up, in they went and opened the door and saw these big lumps, because as we know, at nighttime, we only see in black and whites and greys, and saw those big lumps, and it actually attracted them to think, what is that? So they opened the door, and as the mother walked in, of course, having been in bed with no shoes on, she stepped on what was pill packets on the ground. Thank goodness she went in there. She turned on the light and could see unfortunately, a lot of pill packets. This student had gone through the house. So this is a warning to anyone with young people at home, gone through the house and just taken anything they could find. So it was a whole mixture of different drugs, all different things. The mother did call an ambulance and the student was taken away. The good news is this student has survived. This student is actually now a lawyer and went on and lived a fantastic life and is now one of our ambassadors and talks about their experience. But this is just one reason why I started You Can Sit With Me. But in that email, the student wrote, I have no one to sit with. After everything calmed down that morning, I literally ordered 500 yellow wristbands, just very impulsively. I looked up on my computer, where can you buy wristbands? Wrote, You Can Sit With Me, wristbands. No one else had made them. And I found a place in Tuggerah in New South Wales. And I knew that name, Tuggerah, because as a child, we would holiday near Tuggerah. So I remembered that area and I rang them up and ordered them online. They helped me over the phone what to do, what colours. And I ordered 500 wristbands. By the end of January 2016, I told friends about it. You Can Sit With Me. They told their friends, and those 500 wristbands were already all gone. Since then, 11 years or 10 and a half years later, we have impacted over 1,000 schools across Australia and schools outside Australia, but we focus on schools in Australia, delivering programs, making sure that children have the right content to be able to be inclusive, that they understand what empathy is. And from that point, we're just every week working towards growing and growing You Can Sit With Me and really changing children's lives. So that's a little bit about You Can Sit With Me, and over to you guys.
So does anyone have any questions they might want to ask? Or add, to get a bit more out of the brief or to understand the business a little bit more. And you know what? I might start off with one, just in case anyone's a little bit shy or doesn't want to ask anything. So, obviously, understanding the humble backgrounds of it. So, what have you done in the past, and what's worked?
Well, Sam, I think in the past, what we've done is we've really leaned into our community. And I think we've had we're very grassroots. So everything that we've done has been at the generosity of others. So we've done some outdoor advertising, which has been fantastic. And that's been through Val Morgan. And they've been great partners and supported us with outdoor advertising. We have a You Can Sit With Me Day, the first Friday of June. So they're just about to start their outdoor campaign for us again this year. So, which is just very generous. We have volunteers. We have a team of volunteers. We've got Grace here today who's doing our Instagram posts. She's an ex-student that we've supported along her journey. We have a host of other people who just put up their hand to offer to help. So what really works is anything to raise awareness. I think that's what's important. We talk directly to schools, but schools are always a little bit nervous about bringing in new programs because teachers are overwhelmed with the amount of work that they already have. But since we got recognised by the Australian government as a Tier 1 preventative program, we have a lot more success with schools now. They're much more interested in what we're offering. So I think that that's been really important. But again, everything has been homegrown grassroots.
Fantastic. Okay, we've got a couple of questions here. I think Carla was first.
Sorry, I'm on Carla's laptop right now. Just a quick question on, do you guys have any, I guess, support contacts, phone numbers, any support lines, or I guess direct communication?
That's a great question. We don't have a support line. No, we're not doing anything we just don't have the amount of people nor the training of people to be able to provide any over the phone information. But what we do is we recommend people call Lifeline or Beyond Blue. We do have a contact us form on our website, and that is where people can get in contact with us about questions, or on Facebook or Instagram. We do get a lot of people reaching out, a lot of people telling their story, and a lot of people telling their children's stories, but we don't have a support line. And I think if we did, I think we'd have every mother and father in the country ringing us up all day long, which we'd love to be able to support, but we just don't have that.
Yeah.
And just how many schools are involved at the moment?
So we've got over 1,000. I think we're at 1,017 that we've impacted. What we find is, Sam, is that we might have, so this happened about 6 or 8 weeks ago, just at the end of last term, it would be about 8 weeks ago, is a teacher will leave a school, they might be the wellbeing teacher, then they move to a new school. There's a lot of movement in schools nowadays. It's not really the old-fashioned job where you went to a school and worked there for 30 years. So teachers are moving around all the time. And this teacher got in touch saying that they'd changed schools and they'd wanted to join up with this school, to join up with You Can Sit With Me with their new school. I got in touch with the old school, but they haven't got a wellbeing teacher yet who's taken that place. So they're not running the program at the moment. So we know that there's a little bit of imbalance. So what we talk about is how many schools we've impacted, because we know that at any one time, maybe not all 1,017 are running the program this week, if that makes sense.
I think that would resonate with many independent agencies. Like CMOs move around and they take their agency with them, and some bring along their own program. We've got another question here from Bang Digital, guys.
Hi. I think you've already kind of touched on this a bit with the sort of reticence of schools getting involved. But I guess what's your sort of major challenge that you found historically with kind of using advertising to kind of meet your goals? Is there anything that kind of jumps out, or is it just kind of getting that connection with the schools?
Thanks for that question. I think what it is building trust with the schools. and making the schools understand that it's a very fuss-free, simple program, that it's not complicated, it's run by the children for the children. I'm not sure if I'm answering that question exactly as you wish, but that's really...
No, that's really helpful.
Great.
And Tinkerbell's got a question.
Hi, sorry, I have a couple of questions if that's okay. Not sure if you already touched on this, but in terms of corporate sponsors, do they get a clear picture of how their investment helps the cause at all? Like, do they get sponsored like a particular school, or in what way do they see it?
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, I like that idea of sponsoring a particular school. I haven't thought about that. So we are constantly in touch with our corporate sponsors. So we send them, we use MailChimp, and we're keeping them updated every term of where we're at and what we're doing. And then every year we give them a little mini annual report. It's not really about finances. We're a fully registered Australian charity. It's more about what impact we've made. So we talk all about the impact. So we've just started a radio station this year. A radio show this year. I haven't actually built a radio station. That's up in the NT, and the impact for 29 Indigenous communities. So we've talked to them about that. We've talked to them about the Australian government. We actually have a petition at the moment to nationalise the Working with Children number, which is really important to us to keep our kids safe. So we're talking to them about that. We also have given them what the kids are saying. So we're talking to them every term. We run our year in school terms. So we run by the school year, not the financial year. Obviously, the financial side, yes, we do financial, but all our communication is via the school year. And actually every school, this might be of interest to you all, every school has a newsletter from us, but every term we do a fuss-free, cost-free activity in the school. So term 1 was the Say No to Bullying posters, and they all made posters for their school. Term 2 is You Can Sit With Me Day. Term 3, we're doing intentional acts of kindness. We've removed that word random act, because we actually want intentional kindness. So we're doing intentional acts of kindness. And then term 4, we're going to be doing the big picnic. And that's getting all the children, regardless of their age, race, gender, religion, culture, together, sexuality, together in the school playground. Parents, some schools invite parents. Our country schools do the most amazing things. They do sausage sizzles and cake sales. They do all sorts of things, but it's a day to celebrate the end of the school year and getting everyone together. So that's sort of, I hope that answered that question.
Yeah, no, I did. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Great. Did you have another question for me?
Yes, sorry. I feel like I'm taking it away from everyone. I apologize. I just wanted to know, do you have any stats on how many kids like you've changed lives, not in terms of schools, but like in terms of impact? Because I know you guys are quite focused on impact instead of like growth targets and stuff. Do you have that number or a number?
Well, we do have a number. I'm just looking it up. We do have one, but it's only based on the size of the schools, how many kids are in a class. We're basing it on New South Wales class sizes, how many children, and we say we have impacted over 280,000 children.
Wow, that is a lot.
It's a lot of children. And
Yeah.
The reason being, it sounds like a crazy amount, but if you work out, let's say we've impacted over 1,000 schools and we're working out that there's X amount of students per school. So if we're looking at X amount of students per school, and then we're saying, okay, not everyone's worn the wristband, but everybody's heard about it. That's where we're getting that number from. Plus, when we look at that number, we have to bring in the parents because they're getting the newsletters home from the schools. So really that footprint of who's heard about it, how many people are being impacted by it. So that's something that we don't know, but that's the sort of how we base that number.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much for that.
Such a pleasure.
I think Lauren was next.
Yes, thank you. I've also compiled a few questions on behalf of my team, so I have a few little quick ones to go through. The first one, I know the wristbands are a huge part of like the entire brand. Is that something you want us to specifically focus on as like the key element, or is it kind of just the brand awareness like you were touching on, like we can get creative with other aspects?
I think that's a really great question. I think that the brand awareness of You Can Sit With Me should be the actual focus, that they know what You Can Sit With Me is, because we have got the wristbands. They are the very first thing that we made, but some schools, we did a survey and they wanted a badge. So we've got these little, I can even show, it's just a little badge that says You Can Sit With Me on it. So whether they use the wristband or the badge, we've also got handballs, which are a lot of fun for the schools. So I think the merchandise can come secondary. I think mainly the idea of what You Can Sit With Me is about.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Thank you. Also, have you worked or like had any ideas of collaborating with brands? I know you mentioned like Lifeline and stuff. So have you ever done anything in that realm, or would you be open to, collaborating with a brand like that?
We would 100% be open to collaborating with a brand like that. Yes.
Perfect. Awesome. That was an easy one.
We've collaborated with people like Mazda Foundation, excuse me, Tip Top, different brands like that, Smiggle, but no, we haven't with Lifeline or Beyond Blue or any of those brands.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. I know you mentioned you've obviously done those out-of-home campaigns before, and that's something you're continuously doing. Is there like a key, I guess, message that you use each year, like a key statement, or like what do your current out-of-home, I guess, ads look like?
So at the moment, we're doing everything. This year is all about belonging. So this year's buzzword is belonging. So we're trying to sort of get that message. Any of our electronic marketing is all about belonging. All our narrative around schools is about belonging.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And last really quick question. With the $1 million budget, that's like, I guess, part of the brief, would that be a national coverage, or are you looking at any specific states?
Ooh. Now, I think, Sam, we should have 1 million per state and territory.
Let's not blow it.
But I think
let's make it achievable.
Yes.
Beck, I think it's national.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Well done, Lauren.
Yes, thank you. That's all my questions. Thank you so much for that, Sophie.
Thank you.
Okay,
Just talking about national, I think this might be interesting for you all to know and just get your head around things. Queensland has got the most schools involved. So Queensland is the most, then followed by New South Wales. But we had Paspalis, you might have heard of them. They became our partner in the territory 2 years ago. They have been unbelievable. They have sponsored every single wristband for every single school, and they pay for the whole lot and the whole of the territory, apart from about half a dozen schools. We're just going into the preschools with the You Can Share With Me, but the whole of the territory pretty much has the You Can Sit With Me program. So we did a big sort of use that as a pilot up there about how to spread it really, really well. We got Hot 100 ARN, which is a radio station. Don't know if you've heard of them, but Hot 100, they got behind it. So they've been behind it. We've got TBA, Indigenous Radio, behind it. That's where we have our show. And ABC up there is behind it as well. We've got government support behind it as well. So it's gone gangbusters in the territory, which has been fantastic.
I love that. Next, got a question from Harriet.
Oh yeah, hi. I've got two hopefully quick ones. First, I know you've just touched on kind of the key concentrations of where the schools are. When you've run out of home in the past, are there any specific clusters you focus the activity on?
Not in particular, Harriet. We've just looked at state by state.
Perfect. And then obviously there's been the recent social media ban for under 16s. How, if in any way, has that changed either the kind of experiences you're hearing from kids or the way that you're teaching your programs?
Oh, that's a great question. So, Harriet, we were part of those conversations with 36 Months, just talking with Greg Attle about the whole social media ban. Personally, non-politically, I think it's a great thing because I see the damaging effects for young people. And I also see for young people how it's very hard to do the right thing in a social media environment. Young people make mistakes. They're meant to make mistakes. We all make mistakes. So it sort of sets young people up to fail. We've never had a digital footprint. We've never focused on Instagram or Facebook. We've got a very small digital footprint for that reason. We're not encouraging kids to jump on and look at things from us. What we're encouraging is if parents see what we're doing, that's great because it sends the message out. That's the only reason why we use anything digital. But it hasn't impacted our programs because our programs have never been about anything digital. So I think that's really important. The one thing it has done is it's made young children, where we're seeing the impact is that more children are playing in the playground and the sale of our handballs went through the roof. So we were happy with that. So we got more children playing, and that's something, if anyone can think of how we can get children to engage more in the playground, I'm really supportive of schools and parents removing the phones from the playground, even in high school, to start bringing back that, the ability to have a conversation. And you'll be quite surprised, Harriet, we've got children who are in high school who would be too afraid to do what you're doing, is asking a question. So we really want to bring back that conversation. And that's what You Can Sit With Me is about. It's actually taking the time to A, think of somebody else, but B, start a conversation. So in our early days, we're information partners with Are You OK? And so that's why what we do is we train our young people to say, are you okay? So if they see someone visibly upset, they can say, are you okay? And go and get a teacher. Obviously, we're not creating a West Side Story sort of environment in the playground where everyone's trying to, sort out all the issues themselves. We know that they're too young to do that. But for our high school leadership teams, You Can Sit With Me leadership teams, they do have conversation circles where they can teach conversation. So I think the social media ban, to answer your question, for young people under the age of 16, it's been positive because it's bringing back the conversation and schools recognizing how can we help bring back the conversation. So we're happy with that.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Love that. Any more questions, guys? We're just on 11:30. Oh, there's a hand up. Lily? Hand up or hand down. Look, if anyone does have any more questions, then please let us know and we can get that directly to Soph and ask her and get a response. Yes.
I think I have a question, Sam. Would it be helpful if I was to send over our brand guidelines, which again are not perfect, but they're just something we made? As I said, we're very grassroots, so they're not fabulous, but they do have the colors that we use and a little bit about our brand, which might be helpful for some people. I'm not sure.
Perfect. Yeah, please send that. We'll circulate that to everyone. Well, Sophie, thank you so much, and thank you so much for giving your time. That is a very powerful story, and just as a human, and as a parent, I want to thank you again for creating a better space for the next generation of people coming through, and the opportunity that we're giving to the guys on the call to work on it and to feel the emotion that we've felt and you've shared with us was incredible. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And guys, if anyone's got any questions as we go through the process, please don't hesitate to ask. We can get those answered. And if you need any help with the project or if you've got anything else, please let us know. Thank you so much again, Soph. Thank you everyone for tuning in.
Thank you, everyone.
Talk soon.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.